So I recently got back from my second movie today, and I'm feeling pretty good. It was a two for two experience. I enjoyed both of these films, and you know what made it even better? This Indian movie had no song and dance. Okay, I am talking, of course, about the movie Kill. I found out about this a couple weeks ago. I saw Polly at Latino Slant had seen it. Other people on YouTube have seen it and left reviews. And of course, I was interested because it's action, thriller type stuff. And I have had some experience watching some Indian movies that I enjoyed quite a lot. Even some of the ones with song and dance, even though I really hate that aspect of some of the different types of Indian movies. A lot of times there were some positives that kind of helped balance it out a skosh, but to me it's best when it doesn't have any of that stuff in it, and this one did not. Probably because maybe it wasn't a Bollywood film. I'm not entirely sure. I didn't double check. It was a Hindi language. This film honestly was too serious in nature to accommodate something like that anyway. So you kind of get a feel for the different types of Indian movies that incorporate this element. It does feel like the more lighthearted in nature ones, even though let's say it's action and some killing going on, it does feel like the more lighthearted movies will do the song and dance stuff and the others not necessarily. I saw Chiruli, I think that was the name of it. There was no song and dance in that. That also might have been another, style of Indian movie. I know it's broken up into different regions or something like that. So the synopsis of this film is there's a guy and he finds out that his girlfriend has been sort of pushed into this arranged engagement type of thing and they want to run off together. So he gets on the same train she's going to be on to go to, I think, New Delhi or something like that. And her family is on there as well. Forgot to add that. And he's on board with a soldier friend of his because he's a commando in the military. While they're on there, the train gets attacked by a group of bandits. It's like a gang, a family gang of bandits. They get on the train. I mean, that's basically, at first I thought maybe it was going to involve people that had this nefarious plot to do something, blow up a train or do something involving overthrowing the government or whatever. I thought it was something bigger in scale, but it was not. It was just this band of thieves. They were pretty much all family members in one way or another, uncles, cousins, fathers, sons. They attacked this train to basically just rob people. And there's a lot of people in this gang. I mean, 40 plus people. So there's a lot that happens in this movie. The runtime on this film is an hour and 45 minutes. The runtime on Maxine, which I had seen earlier today, was like an hour and 40 or 44 minutes. So they were both roughly the same, but honestly, Kill felt so much longer. And I think it was just because there were so many bad guys that this dude was fighting, this dude and his friend. And it was so lengthy. I'm not necessarily complaining, but it really felt like a very long haul type of film. Something that I appreciated about it was that it did take some turns I wasn't expecting. I did not watch the trailer for this, so I don't know if some of the stuff that I wasn't aware of was shown in the trailer, but I did like that it subverted my expectation with regard to some of the plot points that really kind of helped make it feel more weighty in nature as far as what was at stake or what was motivating this guy to fight the way that he was against this gang of thieves. I also like that some of the people, well, pretty much all the people, even in this group of thieves, they did have a level of depth to them. I mean, they were bad, obviously. And they quickly found out that they had kind of bitten off more than they could chew when they attacked this train and set this whole bloodbath in motion. But there was, of course, one of the characters in there. He was like the big baddie. He was the main antagonist of this. I mean, there were several antagonists, the whole group of thieves, but this one guy who was, you could tell he was going to be the main antagonist against the protagonist in this story, and that was pretty much the case. He was black and white as far as a character. I mean, there weren't many shades of gray to him, but there were some moments where you could see some slivers of depth to his character with regard to some of the stuff that he said to the protagonist. So he noticed this level of brutality that the protagonist had, and then he also would say something to his father that I thought was pretty profound when they have this discussion at the end, and it was something along the lines of his father feeling like he had principles or something, and his son was basically saying, look, we're thieves. That's all we are. We're not like some Robin Hood, band giving, helping people. We're thieves. That's it. And I thought that added a level of complexity to this character that was a positive for me. So that was something that I certainly noticed. Something else I liked about this film was the fight choreography. Oh my gosh, and the kills. Oh my goodness. Some pretty creative kills in here, and it got progressively more, what's the word I'm looking for? Explicit with the ways that these people would kill each other. It got pretty bloody, yes, very violent and creative. Also, tying back around to the choreography, this entire movie takes place on a train. So there's very confined, restrictive spaces in which these actors are performing their parts, especially when it gets to the fighting. And it just feels almost claustrophobic. And yet the way they were able to carry out these different motions and, as they're doing their fights and all that stuff, I was impressed with how it all came together. There weren't really any moments that I could pick up on where there was, the typical punching high and ducking so you miss, that sort of thing. It was very well done as far as how the fight choreography flowed. There were, of course, I'm going to slide a little bit into the cons, and there weren't many cons, honestly, but the ones that stood out to me were things that kind of frustrated me a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of fighting in here. That certain characters are going to last pretty much until the end of the movie, but there were things that were happening to them along the way that realistically, and I know this is an action type film and all this stuff, you're going to have to suspend some disbelief at some point, but this is not Pathan. Pathan was like over the top superhero type, wasn't superhero, but that sort of craziness level to it that you couldn't really take it seriously. But this was more grounded in reality, and yet there were things that these characters went through that realistically should have killed them. Blows to the head that would have disabled them because they're just human beings. They don't have superpowers. It got a little bit aggravating when there would be certain injuries that were suffered that should have taken them down for the count or disabled them pretty much, and they couldn't do anything. And you could say, oh yeah, well, adrenaline can make people do these. Yeah, that's true, but there is a limit to that. And there's only so much the human body can take before it's going to just have to stop, slow down, stop, or perish. So that stuff started to stand out a little. It wasn't necessarily enough to really ruin the experience for me, but it got into John Wicky territory that I couldn't help but notice. There was one thing that I wrote down as a con. It was just kind of a little bit of an irritation. There's a scene where some people are facing off against each other, and it involves one of the characters is one of the big baddies, and the other character is someone who's wielding a gun with a bayonet. Now, he didn't necessarily have time to shoot off a round against this big bad that was coming at him, but he could have used that bayonet, and he didn't. And that was annoying because that could have ended that particular character right then and there. Okay, yeah, that character's not supposed to be completely disabled at that point in the story, but given the way this other person with the bayonet had been fighting in the past, their character should have used this weapon in that way. So I feel like that particular moment could have been handled a little bit differently. Maybe not necessarily a bayonet, something, because also the advantage of a bayonet is you've got this rifle, then you've got the sharp thing at the end, so you can put some distance between yourself and the person that's coming after you. So I didn't like how that particular moment flowed. A lot of people have a higher level of tolerance for that sort of stuff than sometimes I can. So if these sorts of things aren't a big issue for you, you probably won't even care about that. If you like fast-paced action, and this was fast-paced action, it gets started pretty quickly, and there's a lot of it that happens, yet at the same time, I felt like it was handled in such a way that it didn't come across as just way too much to where I got desensitized to it. And I think part of that was because of the seriousness of the story and the connection I did feel to the characters in here and, what was happening to them. So yeah, that was a fun experience today. I'm going to be going out tomorrow to see Horizon Chapter 1. Hopefully that will be as enjoyable of an experience as this was. I've been out, like I said in my previous review, for a couple weeks, so I'm trying to catch up on films. So yeah, these are my thoughts for Kill. If you guys go check it out, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.